This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends, we break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
We are back with another episode of Inside the Locker Room. And look, I know this kind of looks crazy, y'all. We got some special guests on this. We got Tyran, he's back. We got MJ, who's back, and we got one of Ben's guests who will be coming on the show shortly in a matter of time. But look, it's crazy. And I said this. One thing about Inside the Locker Room is we kind of took like a little couple months off. But Adam and Ben, what did I tell you? I said that we were going to come back in December. We were going to get content out rolling and rolling.
Oh, yeah, baby.
We did. And to the ones that didn't tune in, make sure y'all tune in to me and Michael and Nate's HBCU podcast. We did that yesterday. We're currently, I think, at like 200 views on that. So it's getting good views. But what I want to start our podcast off with is Chicago. Look, they just lost to Green Bay, and they're in a tough NFC North race right now. And I was looking at this earlier. Somebody is going to have 11, 10 wins in that division is not going to make the playoffs. We don't know if it's going to be Detroit. We don't know if it's going to be Green Bay. We don't know if it's going to be Chicago. MJ, I want to start with you. Man, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Chicago drops out the playoffs?
I honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so. Looking at the rest of the games they have the Browns on paper. That's a win unless Shedeur Sanders shows up. Next game, they got the Packers. The Bears are just 1 4th down away from winning that game. So it's not like they got blown out by the Packers or got exposed. It was a really good game. It was just at the end of the game, it came down to a 4th down, and Caleb Williams just threw interceptions. That was it. In my personal opinion, I think they're still in contention to win a division. Then they got the 49ers on Sunday night. That's going to be a defensive game, so I don't see that going past 30 for neither team, to be honest. So I think that's a winnable game because, in my personal opinion, I know this is a hot take as well, but the 49ers are fraudulent. Look at their schedule. Look at their schedule. I'm serious.
You know, that's going to make
didn't Brock Purdy throw like 3 interceptions to, the Panthers?
Exactly. Look at their schedule, and they're 8-4. Granted, they did what they did with Mac Jones, but realistically speaking, I don't see them as a threat in the playoffs. I think of them as one and done. And then that last game for the Bears is a divisional game. So my personal opinion, I think this week the Bears game, basically all 4 of these games are must-win games. But if you want to keep the Lions out of the playoffs, you need to beat Cleveland, for the 49ers, and the Lions if you want to keep the Lions out of the playoff picture. Because right now, the Lions on the outside looking and scratching and clawing. And you saw that against us last Thursday night, unfortunately, when they beat us. But that's a topic for another day. I hate Matt Eberflus.
Look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this really quick. Low key, before I pass it off to Tyrant, look, I'm kind of rooting for Chicago. If all goes wrong with the Cowboys, and we're going to talk about the Cowboys in the playoff picture in a bit, but low-key, as much as I want to see Caleb Williams succeed, man, I need Detroit, I need Chicago to lose these games. Look, MJ, you made a great point when you said Chicago's schedule, but look, I'm looking at this. Obviously, on paper, they're supposed to be Cleveland, unless, like you said before, Shedeur goes AWOL and goes and is on time. Look,
perfect timing.
But I'm looking at the schedule, and you play the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions. And yes, the 49ers, a lot of people say they are fraudulent. I don't think they're the best team in the NFC West, like some people would debate. But I do say this. At times, they can be a pretty good team. Look, and you never know. You never know with Brock Purdy. You could catch him slipping one day, and he can throw for 4 touchdowns on you just with that system that they run with Kyle Shanahan. So I'm going to say this. The Bears, I can see it's the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions. That's a tough road to close the schedule. Close the season. I can just see Chicago going 0 for 3. And maybe it doesn't happen. but it's very possible with the remaining schedule. And even with Detroit, for on Detroit side of the ball, this is why I need Detroit to kind of look for Detroit. I need them to lose to the Rams.
Chill.
I need them to lose to the Rams. I'm not putting. I need them to lose to the Steelers. The Steelers, honestly, to me, are the most mediocre team. At times they look mid, and at times they look like probably a top team in the NFL. I don't have any trust in the Vikings, but then you got to beat Chicago on week 18. So we need a lot to happen, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. But Tyron, what's your thoughts? Do you think Chicago makes the playoffs?
I think they do sneak it in. Honestly, I think for their last 4 games they go 2-2. I do think they lose to the Lions in the last game of the season, but I think they get some help when the Vikings play the Lions a little earlier in the season. The Lions kind of scare me, bro, because when they play my Lions, I judge a lot of teams based off how they play my Giants. If you have a close game with my Giants, bro, it's a little skeptical to me. It kind of works with the Eagles, the Chargers, and it's working with the Lions right now. So I worry about them heading into the playoffs, is all I say. Packers are good for the division. That's a tough game for them, but I think they can win the other 3, honestly.
Adam, what's your thoughts on this?
I was just trying to look at the Packers' remaining schedule. It's probably going to come down to that game in Chicago, Packers against the Bears. The Bears do have, I think, a little bit tougher schedule. Yeah, especially if you get, the Ravens winning this week and then they're still alive. That could be a tough game in Week 17 versus the Packers. Let's see, Week 18. Then you got the Vikings, so they're probably going to win that last game against the Vikings. But right now, the Packers are slightly in the driver's seat, but tiebreaker can still go either way. It's really going to be a dogfight. I like to say that they'll limp into the playoffs in that 7 seed because that's what I had going into the preseason too. But just something tells me the Packers are going to somehow eke this out. I really do think it's going to come down to that head-to-head win or head-to-head matchup in Week 17. Sorry, Johnny's being a little invasive right now, but yeah, it's going to be an absolute dogfight. I think the Bears beat the Browns this week. I think they should win at home. The Packers won at home against the Bears, the Bears beat the Packers at home and the Bears should win again, but it's going to be tough. And then the 49ers, they're still going to probably have something to play for seeding. They're probably not going to win the division, but at the same time, they're going to be fighting for all those wild card spots. And then I think they probably beat the Lions, but I'm going to say the Bears just barely missed the playoffs, even though I want them to make the playoffs. Definitely rooting for them.
Ben, what are your thoughts on this?
So I might be in a similar boat than Adam on this, and it might be because we spent so much time with those cheeseheads. But I'm gonna go back to what MJ was talking about with the Bears as well. This is not to discredit the Bears' last game against the Packers at all. MJ mentioned before it came down to fourth down play, and they barely lost that game. But when I look at these two rosters between the Packers and the Bears, I'm of course comparing their offenses. For me, I think the Packers offense runs a little bit deeper, even with Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden out. Christian Watson had 2 tutties last game. Josh Jacobs looks to seem like he's, getting back on track slowly. And I just think for me, the defense also for the Green Bay Packers still, they've been historical these past couple weeks. And, obviously they did drop the game to, Cleveland earlier in the year. And, Carolina happened again. But I don't know. I just think the Packers will also sneak out with this as well. And while I do expect the Bears to make the playoffs still, I think it's the Packers division to run with in the North still.
Look, this is how I honestly see it playing out, because if just the way I look at when I look at the schedules, honestly, I'm not gonna say I dive too much into it, but I kind of look at your last 5 games. Chicago was coming in. They came into Green Bay. They came hot. They beat the Eagles, and a lot of people have their opinions about the Eagles, but the Eagles are still a pretty good football team at the end of the day, regardless of your opinions. But you lose to the Packers on a close one.
Saw MJ rolling his eyes.
A lot of people. You're supposed to beat the Browns, but look, you come back home, and this is for the Bears. I mean, honestly, I think this game against Green Bay is going to determine a lot. Like Adam said before, it's going to come down honestly, if just like put it like it is, if Chicago doesn't win this game against Green Bay, their chances for a first spot, first place in that division are just gone since they lost to Green Bay last week.
Yeah, and
But
sorry, I was gonna say real quick. Also, like we also mentioned during the offseason, like honestly, we were like tarnishing the Bears, run game. How it looked on paper, but Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, they've done a great job so far. And they're what Ben Johnson and all of them have been doing so far for their first year too. It's nothing to discredit them at all, but I just think also with Detroit, that just plays a huge factor as well. And for me, for Detroit, it's kind of like a 50-50. Like for me, this game against Matthew Stafford this week, like Matthew Stafford played for the Rams for over a decade. Like I always remember that game of Matthew Stafford blowing out his shoulder, finishing the game, and now he's going. Believe they're in LA, right? Or are they in Detroit?
I think they're in Detroit.
Yeah. So if he's going back
No,
to
they're in LA. They're in
yeah.
LA.
look, I'm gonna
But,
say this.
that's gonna be the game for me for Lions too.
I never thought I'd be watching the NFC North as much boiling down to it, but look, unfortunately, Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay, you could say they had pretty tough schedules to close out the season. Right now, if I'm before I'm passing mic to you real quick, MJ. But if honestly, if I'm the Bears and we lose against the Packers, after next week, your best shot is to fight for which wild card spots you are. But you also got to realize this: if Chicago loses to the Packers, then they put their season in jeopardy of missing the playoffs because Detroit can catch up and get them for that 7th seed. Also, you got to worry about Philly and Dallas because Dallas can also still take the division and Philly can still go and take that wild card spot because they beat Chicago. So, Chicago will have if Chicago loses this game against the Packers, their season is on the line 10 times more because you got to worry about, like I said, Detroit. You got to worry about Philly. If they lose, if Dallas catches up and takes the division for them, then you also got to worry about Dallas. If Dallas doesn't get the division, they can still, get in front of Chicago if Chicago loses out. So that's what you also got to worry about. And if Dallas wins out. So I think right now, Chicago just has more on the line out of any team in the NFC North. I think, like I said before, I think it's going to finish like this. The Packers take first place. Detroit takes second place. And then then Chicago takes third. And then we see the Vikings take fourth place. No hate to Chicago. They had a good season, but the NFC this season is probably one of the toughest we've seen in a good minute. And
Deuce, you're about to be in an edit.
We were talking about this, Adam. We said this a couple weeks ago. We don't even know who's a true number one team because every team just, we had the Rams at one for a little bit. Then they lost the Panthers. We had the Seahawks at one for a little bit. They lost to the Rams. We can go on and on. But MJ, what's your thoughts?
Dudes, you hit the pin right on the needle. Lord have mercy, cause you're right about the Bears season. So much can play a factor into a team and how they can get into the playoffs or even be knocked out the playoffs. For example, granted, we just have that one tie against Green Bay, but that also can mean a lot because we're only a half a game behind Philadelphia. And granted, we don't even need to win a division just to make the playoffs. We need just the dominoes to fall in the right order just for us to make the playoffs. We need San Fran to lose out. We need the Lions to at least lose 2 more games. In addition, we need the Bears to lose as well. We need to win out. That's it. So much can play a part into how a team gets into playoffs, and I like it. I like it honestly because not only in the NFC don't want to change the topic or anything, but the AFC is wide open as well. We really don't have a true number one in the NFL this year, and it's one of those seasons whereas you don't know where it's going. You don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl. We don't have a definitive juggernaut in any conference. It's not like we have a true number one, like one we can actually play every week. Okay, yeah, this team is number one. We don't have that, and I like that. I honestly like that because it creates a sense of urgency on teams. Like, oh, this is wide open. Like, for example, Carolina. We did not see Carolina winning this year. We saw Bucks win the division easy because we didn't really pay attention to that division like the past few years. Granted, Atlanta last year with Kirk Cousins weeks 1 through 8, and then after that, God knows what happened to that team. God only knows what happened to that team. But I like it. I honestly, I really like how the playoffs are setting up right now. I really like it.
And I'm gonna say this. Just jump into our next topic. Speaking of Dallas, like, do y'all think Dallas has a shot to make the playoffs? And Dallas hurt. They really shot themselves in the foot losing against Detroit. And you can have your opinions on that, but also the Eagles kind of helped Dallas out by losing to the Chargers. And I don't know which y'all's picks were on the pick 'em. I had LA win. I've kind of seen where I said this a couple weeks ago. This Eagles team, they just remind me of that 2023 team when they started so hot and they lost the remaining schedule. And then this is I think Dallas honestly jumps them. I said this before. We can speak on the odds all day. I've texted in our group chat about the odds, for let's call it for Dallas. I said this, Chicago, you can still get a wild card spot, even if with just help from Chicago losing out. From let's call it. I'm not really too much worried about the 49ers because I think right now the 49ers, their biggest issue is not even making the playoffs. It's determining to get first place with the
they're battling
Rams
Seattle still.
and they have a very important game against Seattle in week 18. It's going to come down to a lot, but honestly, we'll talk about the West in a little bit. But do I think Dallas makes the playoffs? Yes. Do I think they win the division? It depends on how. Honestly, I can't give a true definite answer until how I see against how they play against Washington. I said this before. Washington and Buffalo are the Dallas Cowboys' best odds for having a team beating for the Eagles or beating the Eagles. Honestly, those it's gonna. Do I think the Raiders are gonna do it? No. I think the Commanders can get one out of them, and I think Buffalo can do it. And all the Cowboys, because Cowboys are just a game and a half back behind Philly, so we just need 2 losses. And the Cowboys remaining schedule, I think they can win out. I'm sorry, Tyron, about the Giants. Look, I just think Dallas can come. I think they can MetLife. I think they win. Chargers are going to be our hardest game to close out the season. But how they played against the Eagles, to me, that looked like an inconsistent team. But you could also say that about the Eagles, who had a whopping, 3-4 turnovers. They had 2 turnovers in 1 play. So you could say that about them. Do I think Dallas makes the playoffs again? Yes. Do I think they win the division? I can't tell until Philly plays Washington. But if Philly is to beat Washington, my hopes are not going to winning the division. It's going to, can the Bears and the Lions lose out so Dallas can get in the playoffs? Oh,
Yeah.
one sec, Adam. My fault.
I know it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
My dog was barking, being in pain. I'll say this: I think the Eagles are going to win the division still, and I think that the Cowboys are not going to make the playoffs just because I think they're only going to get 1 playoff team out of that division. And it just boils down to the Eagles have 8 wins right now, and the Cowboys only have 6. Maybe if they won that game that was a tie, that'd be a big difference maker in the end. But I think they win this week. Although Vikings could give them a good test if Lamb's out, which I'm assuming he's going to be out.
He's
So I think it's
he's
I heard he
in.
practiced recently.
He's a full
He's
he's
in.
back. Okay.
He's in.
So I mean that's another bonus for them. And I think Javonte Williams is going to have a big game, so I think that's going to be the key factor in beating the Vikings. Chargers week 16. That's the big one. If they can win that one, then I think it's like a coin flip odds who's going to win the division between them and the Eagles, and who's going to get the 1 playoff spot out of the NFC East.
They have to lose to the Commanders. They got to split one with Commanders, and Buffalo has to step up. But I can't put my trust in Buffalo because Buffalo looks mid at sometimes. They look like very at sometimes.
And that's why I don't think it's going to happen, just because I think the Eagles find a way to win both those games against the Commanders. Because I mean, we saw Jaden Daniels come back, and then he fell on his elbow again and almost seriously re-injured himself. So I think the Commanders brass would be very, very silly to try to bring him back. So it's probably Marcus Mariota the rest of the way. I don't think that's that much of a hindrance, honestly, because Mariota's been playing pretty good. I think he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year, but that's a different discussion. So I think Philly's going to win. They're going to win both against the Commanders. I think they lose against the Bills. I think they beat the Raiders this week. So they're going to be at 11-6 at that point. So that's why 11-7. Wait, that was bad math again. Yeah, no, that's right. How does it not add up? Either way, I think they're going to lose 1 game and they're going to win 3 games. And I think the Cowboys do beat the Giants in week 18. I think they beat the Commanders. I think everyone's kind of going to beat the Commanders from this point on, but just going to be that Chargers game. And I think they're probably going to lose, but if they win, then definitely will give themselves a chance.
Tyron, what's your thoughts on this?
I think Adam hit it right on the money. I think the biggest thing working against y'all is y'all only have 6 wins, and then the Eagles having 8, and then they have that win over y'all too. But the Eagles and the Lions, they have schedules that are kind of favorable to them. At least the Eagles specifically. They got the Raiders, then the Commanders twice. They're not going to lose twice to them, especially with a rival. So that's at least 10 wins right there. That's at least 4 that y'all got to catch up on. So I think the division's out of reach. And then the Lions, they're facing 2 good defenses in the Rams and the Steelers. So they're going to have to bring their A game and then 2 rival games to end off the season. So I think that's really going to work against y'all in the end. In the end scheme is what I'm trying to say.
And that's what I'm saying. Look, if the Eagles can get ahead on the division, because all the Cowboys need is the Eagles to drop 2 and the Cowboys to win out and they catch back up. But it's going to really be, like I keep saying, Washington and Buffalo are your biggest chances. But if that doesn't happen, I put all my faith into Chicago losing out, who Chicago doesn't have a schedule. You know, I'm not going to say they can't win these games, but they can also lose these games. And that goes the same for Detroit. They can also very much lose to the Rams. That can hurt their playoff chances again. But if they win against the Rams, then it's a story for another time, because then, you know, it hurts the Cowboys' odds a little bit more.
Yeah.
Ben, what are your thoughts on this? Before I get to you, MJ, because I know you're thinking right now.
No, I'm not thinking. I have a story for y'all, but Ben, go ahead. I have a story.
I mean, I feel like we mostly agree that, you know, Dallas is not going to win the division. I mean, also, you know, the Giants are the Giants. Sorry.
Your
But
opinion.
I mean, I'm just saying, man. But I
Yeah,
mean,
watch
you
out
know,
for the Giants
their
this
head coaching vicinity is going to be super attractive next year. I mean, you got Jackson Dart, a couple weapons out there for him, and, you know, Tracy's, you know,
You get
still
back. You get
running, and you know,
And-
Scott,
and
of course,
Neighbors,
come
and
back,
Neighbors.
and
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yo.
Wandale
I
Robinson,
think-
don't forget how good he's been.
I think,
yo.
like real
Yep.
quick, like what would y'all feel like? I mean, I think Belichick takes a look, yo. Y'all know he trying to come back to the NFL. I don't know if that relationship, you know,
That'd
is
be
still beefing after all
crazy,
these years.
actually.
But I mean, hey,
crazy, but
if
look,
That's a
Bill wants
crazy
to make a
storyline.
comeback, that's his best shot right there. Or even
Crazy
Gruden.
storyline.
Or even Gruden.
He did that.
The Giants, no
Nah.
less. That would be
No.
wild if he went to the Giants.
No.
That's the only reason I can't see it, because of the Giants.
That hurts. That hurts
I
his
think he
resume.
started on the Giants, if I'm not mistaken, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
no, he used to be a part of their staff.
Yep.
right.
Yeah, he was an assistant
But
with the Giants
anyway,
early
yeah.
on. Was it Jets was his first job?
Yep.
I think Jets was his first
Yep.
job, yeah.
hmm
I wouldn't say Gruden though. I
The
wouldn't
Jets
say
are
Gruden.
involved in
I
everything,
would
of
say
course.
more.
Gruden seems happy
Belichick.
at Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Exactly. yeah.
But nah, going-
he's got his bread buttered.
Yeah, but not going back to Dallas, like, you know, we talked about it last week, you know, with them, you know, fleecing Pittsburgh for George Pickens because Pittsburgh didn't know how to dial up plays for him. And, you know, I guess DK Metcalf finally went off last week. I think it was like the first time Rodgers had over like 230 passing yards or something like that for this
week
year.
6.
Since week 6.
And they hadn't had like a
So-
completion over 20 yards, and then they had like multiple within a few drives.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously Dallas is using Pickens way better. He's a top 5 receiver this year, as we mentioned from last week. But
top 2.
yeah, I just think also, I mean, I sent it to MJ earlier. We saw, you know, Schottenheimer in a freaking shiesty.
sir!
Like, I
Yes,
don't know.
sir!
First we saw Dak in a shiesty. Now we're seeing Schottenheimer
Quit
in a
playing!
shiesty. I don't know what Dallas is trying to do, but I don't know, MJ. It didn't work last time. So
Quit
we
playing.
gotta
Hey,
see.
don't matter. Quit playing with Shoddy though. Quit playing with Shoddy.
Yeah,
playing with
but
homeboy.
Eagles got this division wrapped up, in my opinion. But in comparing, you know, AFC and NFC, you know, we did say the AFC was a little bit more open. Like, I'm giving the Ravens honestly a better chance than like the Cowboys.
Look, and I'm
And
gonna say this.
And the Cowboys would make the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah.
You know
And like
what's crazy?
maybe even the Bengals. Because think about this, guys. What if the Bengals beat Baltimore this week at home, and then they just keep winning?
I have the Bengals
Baltimore,
winning.
Baltimore
I
needs a
wouldn't
couple
put it
more
past.
wins still, but
I wouldn't put
I
it
still
past.
don't think the AFC North is that much, you know, wrapped up either.
Let me tell y'all this real quick. You know what's crazy with the AFC North? It's crazy how we said the Steelers were going to be mid, and they were going to finish at that 9-8, 8-9, and they're on track to finish at that record. And
I swear,
are we
John
shocked?
Harbaugh. Yeah, I swear, John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are keeping each other employed at this point. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that graphic with their like records, but it's almost like dead even after like over 10 years. Like, Man,
Pittsburgh has a schedule that they can very much well lose out. You know, you got to play. I think you got to play. Hold on, let me check. I know you got to play Baltimore one more time.
You got the Ravens, the
Yeah.
Dolphins. I see the Lions.
I think Pittsburgh takes care of Miami easily, even though Miami is on a 3-game win streak.
6
You know,
and
Pittsburgh
7.
winning, but I don't know about easily.
I want to say this before I get to my point.
It all depends on A-Chain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Waddle's also banged up.
They were 2 and 7. Now they're 6 and 7. Just pointing that out.
They've had a great turnaround, and notice how also it happened after Tyreek Hill left. That's all I'm gonna say.
And the firing of the GM.
That too. But yeah, I mean, another story that we obviously have to get to also in this AFC side of things is, guys, AFC South. The Colts, we obviously saw Daniel Jones go down last week, tearing his Achilles.
We literally said before they played, we said we don't think he should play. We said Daniel Jones does not need to play.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, Adam, he's probably going to be out for a good amount for next season too, right?
Yeah, torn Achilles. Yeah. It's usually the
Mhm.
longest turnaround of any of them.
So I think honestly the Colts hurt themselves, and that's Ben. I'm glad that you talked about that because that ties into the next topic with the Phillip Rivers signing.
Yep.
Do y'all think that signing is going to help the Colts? Because I don't. Honestly, I think Jacksonville takes his division. This is Jacksonville's to lose.
Colts. Yeah, I honestly I really like Houston's chances. Their defense has been lights out like past couple of weeks, and sometimes CJ Stroud has been on like a roller coaster of a ride, especially this season. But like when talking about the Colts, at the end of the day, this is an NFL veteran quarterback, and I'm gonna give my props to my boy Craig, who could be coming shortly or maybe not, but I do wanted to like point out his point as well. When Flacco went from the Browns to the Bengals, like everybody laughed. Everybody was like, what are the Bengals doing? Like we didn't know what they were drawing up, but obviously it's a lot different of a situation compared to Flacco, Rivers. Rivers hasn't played since 2020 or 2021, I believe. So he's been in the league for a long time. But the cool part about this is, I don't know if you guys saw, but it's been all over, online. But Phillip Rivers was running his, Colts offense still that he was still running last time he left the league with his son in high school. Yeah. So he's been running this offense since he left the league. So I guess he just needed an excuse to come off the couch. But if Unc could somehow upset Seattle this Sunday, that would. I know Adam definitely doesn't want to see that, but I mean, hey, if Sam Darnold does some Sam Darnold things, and JT runs a couple routes, I don't know, and they still have Pierce. Alec Pierce is still a good option for me in my opinion. Michael Pittman still doing his part, so the Colts aren't completely stir fried in my opinion. Obviously, just all depends on Phil Rivers' health, and we all know, all the reporters and analysts have been mentioning his feet being the thing that would be going first, and we all know what happened to Aaron Rodgers. But we just hope Philip just goes out there on Sunday, balls out. He's gonna be playing for the first time in a long time, and if he throws that first touchdown, man, it's gonna feel different. I'm not gonna lie.
I love Phillip Rivers more than most people, just the competitive spirit that he's always brought. And he gets in people's faces without swearing. Like, he's never sworn on the football field. Apparently that's some random stat about him. But he talks so much trash, but somehow just does not actually swear. But I mean, it's kind of just bad timing for him to be able to be playing the Seahawks, who have allowed the second least amount of points in the league this year, and then also scored the second most. So and the Seahawks also run the ball the most as well. So we run it like 50% of the time. So if we can just control the ball on offense, it's going to be really, really tough sledding for the Colts and Phillip Rivers. I mean, imagine playing your first game in 4 years, being 44 years old, and then facing the second best or maybe defense. Arguably the best defense. Yeah, one of the top defenses in the league, and are still hungry to win because, I mean, every game counts. Like, the crazy part is you could have 11 wins and maybe end up as the 6 or 7 seed as an NFC West team this year. Like, the Rams.
Seahawks got screwed last year playoffs.
Yeah, with 10 wins, exactly. It came to that head-to-head win with the Rams. And of course, the schedule makers like did it the exact same, where the Seahawks have to play the Rams and the 49ers. So it's like the division could go anywhere. Any of those three teams could end up the 1 seed or the 7 seed, which is like absolutely mind blowing. But as far as who I think is going to win the AFC South, if we're jumping into that topic right now, Jaguars are my favorite. They get the Jets this week. They're currently in the driver's seat right now too. The Broncos is going to be the big tough test, but it's two of the teams that like to turn over the ball the most on defense, so that's going to be a really fun game to watch. Maybe not fun if you just like offense. And then they got at Colts. They also have 3 games at home remaining. And the Titans they got at home, so that's kind of a shoo-in to end the season. And to me, I got to throw Liam Cohen in the mix. He deserves Coach of the Year consideration because I expected the Jaguars are one of my team.
Yes, he does.
They were one of my teams that like they're going to take that next step forward, but I did not think they were going to win the division. I had Texans as a shoo-in in the preseason. Before I even knew how good of a defense, I just assumed CJ Stroud, they were like a more complete team. But let's see. Yeah, I expected the leap, not anywhere the size. And yeah, the coach deserves all the credit because sometimes you see good players and they need the coaching too. Like Trevor Lawrence is a number 1 overall pick, and it's took until he's had Liam Cohen as a coach to actually like realize his potential. And I think the most impressive thing for Trevor Lawrence is the fact that he hasn't had Travis Hunter for multiple weeks now. As soon as he broke out, he lost him. But shout out to the front office getting Jacoby Myers, who has now become the wide receiver 1 for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. And Brian Thomas Jr. Crazy season last year. I don't know what's happened this year, but he has shown some resurgence recently. So if he can round into form as well, I really like the Jaguars' odds. But yeah, anyone else wants to talk? I can talk a little bit about the Texans' remaining schedule and the Colts, but give someone else a turn.
Y'all got any thoughts about who's going to win the South?
Do you guys think that Unc can like turn this around? Like
I got 3 points I need to make real quick. It's gonna be a short 30-second story about the Philadelphia. I don't mean to go back.
He had to fit in his Jalen Hurts somewhere, man.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. All I need.
All
I need is 30 seconds. All I need is 30 seconds. I just want to go back to y'all. A few seasons ago, they started off 10-1, ended up losing and going 10-6, and finishing in the wild card against the Bucks. That's all I'm gonna say. I know y'all remember that season. All right, and now to this season with Phil Rivers, Unc. Bring back the pocket passer. I have been saying this for the longest time. I am tired of all. You know what? I'm not tired. I'm agitated at all these dual threat quarterbacks. All these quarterbacks that just want to scramble and throw the ball like they some Patrick Mahomes. No, bring back the John Elways. Bring back the Brett Favres. Bring back the Eli Mannings, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings,
the Joe Flacco's.
Even the Joe.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
God bless the name. And here we have Unc, man. When I see Phil Rivers throw for a touchdown to Alec Pierce on a 64-yarder, we're going to be back. Man, take me back to my childhood, to Tony Romo throwing for over 400 yards a game. Man, take me back to that. Man, I'm happy that Unc is back and he found that fire. Unfortunately, he won't be able to spend time with his family for the holidays, but that's neither here or there. But hey, Phillip Rivers is back. When I saw that they were training him, like, Anthony Richardson is physically blind, or they just don't want to use bro. It can't be. It can't be one or the other.
Cam Newton even.
You could have called Cam Newton, for the love of God. Tom Brady's
gonna throw it in there.
Come on. Tom Brady's looking at his helmet right now, like, you know that Spider-Man meme, that Green Goblin. Like Tom Brady is looking at his helmet like He's
like, let me break Peyton's passing yard record real quick.
Come on. Yeah. So basically, what I honestly for the South, I think I'm gonna go Houston, because Houston is still more the complete team. They still had that defense that held Patrick to 10 points on Sunday night, which shout out to Aziz and Petrie for that defense. Oh my gosh, that hits the Petrie hit on Rashee Rice. God. But I think because Nico Collins, they still have Nico Collins, they still have CJ Stroud. Offensive line is still a little bit shaky, but DeMeco Ryans is getting the men right. He's getting them right, and he still deserves his respect. I believe that Jaguars coach, he's still going to be in contention for Coach of the Year, just like the Indianapolis coaches. I like this for the AFC South because we always thought ever since Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson out of his prime, we all thought that they were just gonna be going downhill. I like this out of the AFC South. I like the competitive nature. I like the competitive spirit coming out of the AFC North. I mean, not AFC North, AFC South with C.J. Stroud, Trevor Fraudulent Lawrence, shout out my homeboy Jaren, who's a Jaguars fan.
Whoa! He's not a fraud anymore.
We'll see. 4 games. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, he about to torch my Jets this week, so
So that's where it's at. Like it's like if he beats the Jets and is able to beat old man Phillip Rivers or whoever's playing quarterback in Week 17 for the Colts, and he beats the Titans, he can lose to the Broncos. Then the Jaguars are sitting there with 11 wins, and at that point, it's like Texans got to play the Cards. They're probably winning that this week. Raiders probably gonna win that. Chargers, that's 50-50, and then you got the Colts in Week 18. So that's where I think it just favors the Jaguars because they don't have as much head-to-head games against the division remaining.
Yeah. But I would like to say before we get to the next point about the Texans, like they've shown they battle because last year if we were to see last year between Houston and Kansas City last year, because we saw that in the postseason and we saw how that went down. Houston controlled it for the first and second quarter. Then you just see out of the blue, Devil Magic Patrick Mahomes come out the Wilbergs and go crazy in the third and fourth quarter. We saw that, but this past Sunday night was different. It was different because the defense controlled the game to start to finish. There was not really too many miscues on defense. It was a lot of miscues on offense, but the defense made up for it. So I think this is a really different Houston defense because, mind you, after the last loss they had, correct me if I'm wrong, was against the Broncos. They were 3-5 at that time. 5 straight wins. 5. And mostly in helping with the defense. So I believe that the defense is a championship caliber defense, in my personal opinion. If the offense wasn't the way it was, I would be saying we are looking at a Broncos Texans AFC championship. That's why I like it. That's how I like it.
Very interesting matchup there.
You know, but look, this is what I've been looking at for like, and I'm gonna lie, like the last bit. If y'all can see this, hold up, give me a sec. Oh man, hold up, dang, it's not popping up. Oh well, I can't show it, but I'm trying to
describe it. Paint us a picture.
I'm trying to show y'all like the current playoff picture right now. Houston currently sits at the 7th seed. So their best shot of, what I'm thinking is of getting in the playoffs right now is kind of getting to that, winning the division. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but I think if whoever's sitting on the 7th seed right now, you got a lot. I'm not going to say you got a lot to worry about because I don't think Kansas City and Baltimore are going to catch up to them. Honestly, just how they've been performing this season. I think the Chargers are going to knock Kansas City out of the playoff picture when they play in a couple of weeks. But I feel like sitting on the 7th seed, you just got a little bit too much. You don't got a lot of wiggle room to worry about. As to where winning the division, which the Jaguars are currently in, you got, I feel like you can lose a couple games. But I think the Jaguars take this game. Shout out to Liam Cohen. He's coached this team way better than I expected. I know Adam, all offseason, the AFC South was a division full of mediocre teams aside from the Texans. At first, I'm not gonna lie, the Jaguars they kind of were proving my point at first, but as the back half of the season has gone, Jacksonville has kind of, they kind of shut me up, and it started with that game against the Chiefs when they beat them 31-28. Sure. Of course, you lose to the NFC, you lose to the Rams and the Seahawks, but
got smacked by the Seahawks.
But look, you bounce back, and they're on a 4-game win streak right now. And like you said before, you play the Jets. The Broncos, in my opinion, is your hardest test to finish out the season. But the Broncos, even then, they have their own.
It's at least at home.
Yeah, and it's at home. Look, the Broncos have their own consistencies. I think that if the Jaguars can expose those inconsistencies, which are on the offensive side of the ball, we know that the Broncos have an insane defense. But what can you figure out on the offensive side of the ball to contain them? And then you have the Colts and the Titans with the favorable schedule to close out the season. The Colts, honestly, a lot of people can hype up the Phillip Rivers signing. I feel like it's just a mirror of when Cam Newton re-signed with the Panthers a couple years ago. I really don't see a lot happening with the Colts. It's cool for his fan base, but it's not going to help them. So I see the Jaguars taking this division. Tyron, what's your thoughts on this?
I think the Jaguars are going to take the division one. I think that offense is really clicking. The signing of Myers has helped Thomas, I think, because he needed that mentor to really kind of help groom him and get himself out of his own way. Defense looks good. I think they're getting back Trayvon Walker soon. They led the league in turnovers at one point. I think they still do, if I'm not mistaken. And
they're up there for sure.
Yeah, and the Texans, they don't get me wrong, their defense looks really good, bro, but that offense has looked really skeptical with Stroud on the field. When he's off of the field, they low-key look better, which is weird. But the one thing I'm going to say, the Colts are the most fraudulent team this year, bro. And I know I probably stand on the island by saying that. But
Wow.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Next year,
I had a
bro.
Colts friend that said, like 5 weeks ago, he's like, we're going to lose, like, every game from then on out.
Bro, next year, bet on it, they're not going to make the playoffs. They may not even get, like, 8 wins, bro. Especially if they bring back Daniel Jones.
Thank goodness the Jets got their first rounder this year. But I mean,
Well, it might have to be Riley Leonard or someone else too next year because Daniel Jones is not going to be good to go for week 1.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you, that offense is good. They had a lot of luck to start the season, and towards the back end of the season, they had a lot tougher teams who were more capable and like burst in those tougher games. So I don't know. I think the Jags are going to come out this season though with the division. I think Phillip Rivers coming back this season was the worst scenario for both like him and the team because they're going to get nothing out of him. Maybe like a win or something, like a feel good moment, but he's about to miss out on the Hall of Fame again. He was just about to be eligible. I think he was like a finalist or something. So
that's crazy. Actually, that's such a good point. Yeah, that's such a good point. But no. There is a world that exists where the Colts go 0-4 over the next 4 weeks and the Jaguars go 4-0. If the Jaguars are able to beat the Broncos at home, which I think because of the way they match up against each other, the way the Jaguars force turnovers and Bo Nix is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks throwing downfield, they force him to do that, then the Broncos can't rely on their defense, especially if the Jaguars are running it back in the end zone the other way. So if the Jaguars could have 13 wins at the end of this
that
season.
Would be insane. Even without Travis Hunter as well. They even have their first round draft pick healthy right now.
Colts could end up 8-8. No, not 8-8 because we're 17 game season. But they could end up 8-9. Like
I would love that.
I would like to make a point. I ain't gonna lie. I was just looking at the Colts schedule.
They're not winning. They're not winning. The Colts are not
winning. Crap.
Oh
my God.
That's what I'm saying. It's Seahawks, 49ers, Jaguars, Texans.
Like, they have been playing in my face the entire season. I'm thinking the Colts are Super Bowl bound.
I put them at 1. I put them at 1 in the power rankings 1 week too, and then I immediately regretted it.
The best thing that happened to them is Daniel Jones getting injured, bro.
Look,
just for a better pick, you're saying?
They don't even have the picks. Though. The Colts don't even have picks with it. So
New York got their pick this year.
Look,
that's right.
Because the Sauce Gardner trade. So listen to this: the Sauce Gardner trade gave the Jets the Colts first round this year, and then the Quinn Williams trade gave them Dallas's first for next year. So Jets have first round picks, 2 first round picks both this year and next year. And if Indy goes 0-4, like we said. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about this because we know the Jets can't draft. Just
look. Let me tell you this. This is how I see the division.
The 2027 class is looking nasty. The Jets you could just throw like a dart at the board and they'll be all right.
I don't know, man.
Sorry, go ahead, Deuce.
Honestly, this is how I see the division playing out. And I mean, look, Houston low-key does have the tiebreaker. If the season ended today, they would be over Jacksonville. If the season did end today, so really? I'm gonna say it like this. I
think it's wins. I think they got one more win, don't they?
They got
Jaguars. They have 9 wins.
Yeah, they do got one more win, but this is how this is how I'm gonna predict the season to come out. Honestly, I see Houston finish 12-5. I see Jacksonville finishing 12-5. I see Indianapolis losing out, and I see Tennessee. They're not winning another game. Tennessee's getting the first pick again this year.
And it's sad. It's sad for Tennessee. I will say that it's sad because Cam Ward is a dog.
Brian Callahan is one of the worst coaches I've ever seen coach. He sucks. And
man,
get
Cam Ward a coach, please.
You know, the one thing I hate about
quarterback coach.
I hate when you throw rookie quarterbacks into the fire and you don't get to develop properly. But
that's what college is for.
Shedeur going in the 5th round could have been an absolute blessing in disguise, honestly, because now
And
if he balls out the next few weeks, like they might just try to build around him.
Speaking of this, Shador outperformed Cam Ward, so that goes to say a lot. Like, honestly, I think Cam Ward is not in a situation that's suited for him right now. His coaching staff is horrible. He has weapons, but honestly, with Cam Ward, with a player like that,
DK.
Yeah, but honestly, you have these little flashes and playmakers, but they need like that superstar. Like Tennessee just needs that superstar. Honestly, Tennessee right now I see Tennessee as you go there as that's the
wide out, man.
Well, I remember
AJ would have
if they had AJ Brown. Yep.
If only they had AJ Brown.
Cam Ward is that's so true. So true. Yeah.
Farm system that is Tennessee.
If he just would have remained patient, if he just read a book in Tennessee, just saying, if he just would have read a book in Tennessee and kept his mouth shut.
And I'm not trying to hate to Cam Ward, but Tennessee right now just feels like that's the place to go where players' careers go to die. And I said that a few years ago when Robert Woods, you remember Robert Woods was doing amazing.
Man, that's a pull right there.
And then Robert
Julio
Woods,
Jones,
and I said
Julio Jones.
That's another. I say Tennessee is where players go to die. Do I believe Tennessee's trying to change it around? Yes, but with the current coaching staff they have in place and ownership in place,
they're not trying to win. Yeah.
I just want to defend Cam Ward and just the team a little bit. Like he is the most sacked quarterback in the league, just like Caleb Williams was a couple years ago. So if you give him an O-line and then those weapons, and honestly, like Tony Pollard last week, I don't know where he came from, but Tony Pollard proved he's a running back in the NFL again. And then I really like Tyjae Spears. Tyjae Spears is just like one of the most dangerous weapons in space in the league.
And
so like they have weapons, and Jeffrey Simmons is maybe one of the best defensive tackles as far as getting sacks and just doing everything in the interior. Yeah. So it's like they have pieces. They just need an O-line. And I mean, the Seahawks proved you get one good O-line in the first round. Like Gray's able. He can play multiple positions, but he's been locked in on one. It can improve your entire offensive line. Like there were multiple weeks where the Seahawks didn't allow pressures this entire season, and they were the worst offensive line last year. Like it can flip. It can flip.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I like to go back to Buffalo a few years ago. Buffalo back in when Josh Allen started to develop as a quarterback, all you needed was just an O-line. Build off that O-line, then you're good. Josh Allen was able to fling the ball. This was before Stephon Diggs. This is when they lost in the wild card round to Houston, I think it was. This was the 100th season. This was the 100th season. Yeah, they lost to the Texans.
Was that like 2019?
Right.
Say again?
Was that like 2019? Was the 100th season 2019?
2020, because that was Pat Mahomes winning his first bowl. That was when he won his first bowl. But that was the wild card round between that crazy Saturday game between Houston and Buffalo. If it showed then and there, you just build up your O-line.
Yeah, that was the Josh Allen legacy game right there.
You build up your O-line and you just go from there. Like Adam said, you just need an O-line.
Yeah, I think it's the same exact thing with the Browns. Even I mean, it's the fancy gambling. We don't know, but I mean, Shador, he's the only rookie quarterback with 300 plus passing yards in any game. He's the only rookie to do that.
Browns.
So, I want to see Dillon Gabriel's 300 passing yard game.
The Browns.
Can somebody show me that?
The Browns.
He did things that Browns quarterbacks have never done since 1978.
And that's great. We've been saying this all season. Look, we all knew Shador was the best quarterback for the Browns, and we've been saying that. Look, film don't lie.
He was the best quarterback for the Saints.
And the way he's also like handling these like media presses as well, like Shador, like
how Michael's reacting. I was Michael's here right now, but Michael will tell you when the Saints drafted Tyler Show over Shador, Michael's reaction to that was just so funny. And I'm not trying to give no hate to Tyler.
Saw me in the crowd, dude.
Tyler Show has low-key been playing some decent ball for the Saints, and he's been showing flashes. So I can't give no hate to that. But look, let me say this about Shador. If the Browns had some more weapons, and they had better coaching, they'd be look, you poised Shador for success. The defense is already doing their thing. You got Myles Garrett.
You got the current sack leader, possibly. Player
of the year. You got Carson Schwarzenegger, who's going to be the player of the year. The Browns.
As long as he doesn't get triple teamed every play like he did last week.
That offense has flashes. Adam, you made a good pull with Harold Fannin Jr. all the way back in the offseason. He's been balling. That's my guy. Honestly been Shador's favorite weapon, and you can see the chemistry right there.
Fantasy.
So I was gonna say, like he's doing the right things. He's finding that safety blanket. So like he's already establishing the connection with like arguably their best weapon long term.
And you got Judkins and Sampson, and not gonna lie, I did not like the Sampsons pick because you still had Jerome Ford on the on the roster at first, and I was like, he's a decent back, and you put him to running back 3. But look, I take that back. This Judkins and Dylan Sampson duo has been it worked. It's been the best running back duo. Honestly, it's the top running back duo in the league. You just gotta give these players time to develop. Give Shador a line. Give him some more receivers. Do I like Jerry Judy as a receiver? He's inconsistent at times.
No, I don't.
He's inconsistent, but
he did catch one last week. A huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say he works
yarder.
well for those scramble drills when Shador's got like people all around him, and then Jerry Judy is just like sinking out left, basically.
Like a simple slang or slant route. That's all it is for Jerry Judy. And a few weeks ago, we even saw this. Jerry Judy was not being a leader to rookie Shador because he's over here talking at Shador like, bro, you should be talking to him. Like, you see, tell him what you see and then go from there. You just see him bickering with Shador. Like, that ain't gonna help you.
This. The Browns, they have the fourth overall pick if the season was to end today. And they also have Jacksonville's pick. So they have 2 first-round picks that they can go into next year, and they have free agency space. Look, if I'm the Browns front office, Shador, look, even though
get you an old lineman from down south and a wideout that's physical,
SEC,
and they Gucci.
SEC,
even though the season is, even though you started Shador late, I think Shador has kind of shown enough flashes, to say maybe we let him start at the beginning of the season. Let's kick it off. Honestly, the Browns, they can take, you have two first-round picks. Do I think you should go out and draft like Fernando Mendoza from Indiana? No, because then I think that creates another situation with quarterbacks. But you can also go and draft, like Adam said, an O-line. You can go and draft. You can go and draft another, a wide receiver weapon. The running backs don't touch, but you can draft some weapons for Shador, and you can also draft to improve that defense. That defense has shown its flashes. I just said before, you have a defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, who's going to break the record in sacks.
Regardless.
You have Carson Schwarzenegger, who is playing lights out, looks like the rookie of the year for a defense rookie of the year. You have
I like that almost sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger right there.
Then you have
I wasn't the only one.
I was like the little pronunciation off just was like golden, honestly, right there.
Then you still have Mason Graham. That look, even though he hasn't shown the same flash as Carson Schwarzenegger, he went in the first round for a reason. And I would say this: you give rookies at least 1 to 3 years. You give them 1 to 3 years before you start to really judge how the career went. Like we say, Choco Charlton for the Cowboys. That's a player that should not have went in the first round. But I still think Mason Graham was the first. I think Mason Graham.
That was a pull. The taco pull right there.
Hey, I can never forget that pick because
y'all got cute now.
I can never forget that pick because there were so much better players in that draft.
Wait, so many! Oh!
Hey, Tyron, what's your thoughts on this?
Where were we? I know we were kind of rambling. Where were we at again?
We were talking about Shador Sanders.
With Shador Sanders, do you think he's poised to be the Browns quarterback for the future, or what do you think? What do you see the Browns franchise doing?
No, he's definitely QB of the future. Honestly, I was kind of hurt when my Giants didn't draft him on draft night. When we traded back into the first round, bro, I literally was like,
"You're doing all right.
We're doing good. Don't get me wrong. I'm cool with it now. But on the night of, I literally dropped to my knees, bro. I'm like, this franchise fucking hates me. But
I think everybody wanted everybody, and Michael will tell you, Michael was the same reaction when he said Tyler Show.
Who's Tyler Show?
Was like, we did okay, look, and I remember we were saying this in the group chat, because we all had him going to the Saints, I believe. We were like, Shador, he's not getting.
Those are all of our final predictions.
And we say, he's not gonna go to the Saints first round, but we said the second round, the Saints got him. The Saints need the O-line.
I remember.
We said the Saints need an O-line. That's cool. And they went I forget. They said who'd they draft? Was it?
Wasn't a book? No, Booker was Cowboys.
Was
right?
It was
T-Bug baby. T-Bug baby.
Yeah, why can I not remember right now? But yeah, they took a left tackle.
Yeah,
he was out of Alabama too. Right?
I just had it. I think
it was out of Texas.
Texas, yeah, it's Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Kelvin Banks Jr., baby.
They took
Kelvin Banks.
Second round, we said, okay, look, we said Shador's gonna go to the Saints second round, but boy, was he after the second round and he started to slip. We said, what is going on? We said something is off. And we was like, that's crazy because we said the Giants. We were surprised the Giants did not take them. And
Miami could even pick them.
Jackson Dart is a QB for the best thing to happen in my opinion for New York in terms of quarterbacks. But man, when I tell you, Shador should have not dropped past the second round, and it's starting to show. as much as Kevin Stefanski is starting to hold him back, you
He's
still see
gambling.
Shador with all them
I
flashes.
want to make a point. I need to make a point about this. I need to get this off my chest.
Go ahead,
Be
bro.
gone, Kevin Stefanski.
Facts. Get him out of here.
Be gone. I'm so
Nah, I'm
serious.
kidding. That's kind of mean, but I just feel like the play calling. That's what you're talking about, MJ. The play calling for the
that's what
Browns
I'm
just hasn't
talking
been the
about.
best. And we're not trying to offend anybody for calling for people's jobs here, but that's not what we do here. But the Browns, their offensive, their offense could just have so much more potential. We were talking about
So
Fannin.
much.
We were talking about
So
Judkins.
much.
Judkins could be a top 5 back in this league when it's all said and done.
That's the thing.
I
It's
know
just
Adam
conservative.
remembers
It's
the
conservative.
reaction
It's
from the crowd when the Browns picked them in that round. So, I mean, the Browns could have a huge offseason this year, and we just might be, in the ride for it. But I guess to sort of end off this episode here, guys, I mean, we haven't talked about the NFC South really that much. We did mention the Panthers and the Bucks a little bit, but tonight, I guess to start with our predictions for this week, we're in week 15. Tonight, in a couple minutes, actually, we have the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Tampa, taking on Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. Mike Evans is back. Chris Godwin's still in there. Egbuka, obviously the sensational rookie, is coming back after a slow
Really
game
dropped
last
off, though,
week.
sadly.
Yeah, last week he had only 2 catches, I believe. So this week I expect Egbuka to get going more tonight against Atlanta, and I guess to start things off for week 15 talk in terms of games going off the line. Give me Tampa tonight. I could see them winning by a field goal. And then as far as the rest of the games here, let me just pull up my week 15. Obviously, Jaguars are going to beat the Jets. Real quick for the Jets, Brees Hall, please get off my team. You can't finish the game with 50 rushing yards when Devon Achane, right, left the game before halftime and still had double the rushing yardage than Brees Hall did. Brees Hall finished with the day with 43 rushing yards. I just don't think you can complain and just don't play. Next game, we got the Bears and the Browns. Obviously, we're all thinking Chicago wins, but if Shador somehow, goes off for another week, they could give Chicago's defense some trouble. Ravens and Bengals, that's going to be a toss-up for me as well. I do think the Bengals still have a chance, like we've said earlier in the episode, but give me the Ravens in that one. Chargers and Chiefs, give me the Chiefs. We saw last week with Justin Herbert and the Eagles game, y'all. The Chargers offensive line could not block a fly. Justin Herbert was running for his life after every play, and especially with that broken hand, I just don't, or not broken hand, but that finger that's bothering him. I just don't think that's going to be a good combination, especially with the fact that we're traveling to Arrowhead, and then the next game we have the Bills and the Patriots. That's going to be a big one. I do like Mike Vrabel's chances, honestly, to beat them again and surprisingly shock everybody in the league. Like, could we imagine if the Patriots, sweep the Bills? I honestly could see it. The Patriots are home this time, so I just think it's going to come down to coaching versus coaching here, and hopefully Drake May could get the boys going. Another game here, and during Week 15, another divisional matchup: Commanders Giants. I like the Giants in this one. Jackson Dart, he's coming back, off of a game against the Patriots in Foxborough, where I think he wanted to do more a bit after his first game back from injury. So give me the Giants in that one. Raiders, Eagles. Give me the Eagles. Not much to really say there. Blame it on Geno. We'll keep it on the theme for that for the Raiders, I guess, for this week. Cardinals, Texans. Too. Yeah, Cardinals, Texans. Give me the Texans. Not much to explain there, but Jacoby Brissett has quietly had a great season. I don't know if you guys have seen, Jacoby Brissett, what he's been doing, even in these losses, but he's thrown a touchdown
in almost in Canton now. Yeah,
Jacoby Brissett has quietly been balling out on a 3-10 Cardinals team, but obviously Arizona will probably finish with a top 6 pick, if not top 5 this year. And then for the 4:00 slate now starting, we have the Green Bay Packers traveling to Mile High in Denver. That's going to be an interesting game with the defense.
I got to sign off. I have people arriving, but you guys take it easy, Adam, and have a great rest of the episode.
Yes, sir, Adam.
Thanks for joining us, Adam. Yeah, I mean, does anybody want to take over for the 4:00 games?
Look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this really quick before I pass it back off. And I'm just gonna go over the before I take over for the 4:00 game. I'm just gonna give the ones I think that are important for the 12:00 game is my pick 'em. I think we all know that the Bucks will win, and if the Falcons somehow upset the Bucks, you can credit me on this one. I was wrong. But the next best one, I think
That
honestly,
is fair.
a lot of people are high on the Bengals beating the Ravens, but look, the Bengals have nothing to play for. Their playoff chances are out the window with this loss from last week. The Ravens still have something to play for, and the Ravens are, even though they're playing away, I still have faith in Lamar. Lamar, you just what Lamar this season is, which Lamar are you gonna get? Because some weeks the
Yeah, I
Ravens
think
look
he's been
like
playing injured still. I think that's
Lamar's
the
hurt.
thing.
Lamar's
Yeah,
hurt.
he's still
yeah, and
hurt.
Lamar's
that's the
hurt.
thing. But sometimes even through this injury, sometimes they look like a top team. Look, they got back the top of the division when he came back, but as the season progressed, they just don't look like that same team that we thought they were. And look, if they miss the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised. But for the 4 o'clock games, look, Broncos, Packers, that's an important one for both teams.
Mhm.
Broncos are still not, they haven't even clinched the division yet. Chargers could still take that with how things are going. And the Packers, you still got to worry about what you call
Lions
it.
and Bears.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Lions.
Lions. Yeah, Bears and the Bears and Vikings. No, I was
Yeah,
say
the Bears
Vikings.
and the Lions. You still got to worry about the
Yeah,
Bears and Lions, and you got to worry about playing for the 7th seed that a lot of people don't want to have to worry about. Um, Yeah, but I see Denver stepping up in this one. They're at home, Mile High. Mile High is gonna get allowed. Broncos need this to clinch the division.
they need to. They need to, especially with
Uh,
Bo Nix, because Bo Nix has not been. He he's not what we thought he would be in his second year. Because we
yeah,
saw
and I'm not.
glimpses.
He's
We
not
saw
taking a
glimpses of that.
slump. It hasn't been like a slump, but it hasn't
But
been like a sophomore elite though. He's just been playing just not how we expected to expectation.
conservative. I feel like he's been playing conservative under Sean Payton's call. To be honest, like you just see a lot of yeah. Obviously, you see Cortland Sutton on a street route. Obviously, you see Troy Franklin making his moves as a rookie as well, helping out Cortland Sutton with the load. And you see Evan Ingram. I just feel as though he's not. Coach Payton doesn't trust him yet. Cause yeah, he had Drew Brees, but it's more like, oh, do whatever it takes to win, and obviously that's a good mindset. But also be comfortable while doing it, not just settling for the okay, we did this. How can we expand upon it more? How can we spread out the field? Because you only see Cortland Sutton maybe about what 5 times a game when Bo Nix throws him the ball. That's about it. And strategy, obviously, it's obviously strategy. But I would like to see more Bo Nix than we saw in Oregon. Him throwing down the field. Him throwing about maybe 20, 30 yard passes. I would like to see that more of Bo Nix because we saw that last year at the end of the year. We saw him progress like that. Now this year is just like, what's going on here? So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think like with Denver, like the big thing for them is what Sean Payton's been doing. Sean Payton, like a quarterback whisperer, so that's been huge. Like for getting Bo Nix a little bit better. I just think Denver still has a lot to prove for me.
yeah,
I honestly, and then look, the final game that's important for that I see in the afternoon slate, is your Rams and Lions game. The Lions need this game to stay in playoff contention because they're not even in the playoffs right now. And if they lose this game, which is honestly I'm pulling for, I hate to say it, I'm pulling for LA win. Adam, whenever you see this, I know you hate to hear that because you need LA to lose, but I need LA to win so they can knock Detroit behind Dallas.
thank
Um,
you.
I need LA to win, and honestly, I think LA is going to do this at times. Detroit looks inconsistent at times. Like Tyron said before, how you play against the Giants, that can say a lot. That game against the Giants was too close for a team like the Detroit Lions. As to where if the Rams were to play the Giants, I don't see that happening. Just with how Matthew Stafford's been playing, with how Puka's been playing this season, with how Devontae Adams has especially been playing this season, who has really stepped up in ways that a lot of people can't even imagine. The Rams defense has been playing lights out as well as their O line. So I take Los Angeles in this one. Sure.
Especially how Devontae Smith in this late in his career, how he's still looking like Green Bay Packers Devontae Adams.
Look at basically I don't have I don't have anything else for what's call it to close us out other than let me see really quick. Which
I
one?
wanted to hit on a couple of things before we get out of here,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When it came to the Giants first, the best way to beat us is by passing, bro. We play man coverage every time, and Matthew Stafford will eat that up. They got too many receivers. That's a bad matchup. That's my nightmare right there, bro. Second, Bengals and Ravens. I know it's a very good matchup this week, but when you said the Bengals had nothing to play for, it's a rivalry game, bro. I know a lot of people overlook that, and it's
Still
because
giving Cincy a shot.
they think Ravens Steelers, bro, but Bengals come in and play upset to Ravens all the time. I said this on the last stream, bro, right before they beat them on Thanksgiving, bro. They cannot stop the passing game of the Bengals, and it just depends on what Lamar y'all get, like they said. And then one underdog I want to tell everybody to watch out for, even though I picked them, is the Patriots. They are one of the best teams right now, but they've had a fairly easy schedule. The Bears they're kind of hot. They it's going to be a rivalry game. They know they're trying to fight for the division. They still have a chance for it. So I think the Bills are going to come in with some steam. I think it's the reason that the Patriots are underdog. And I'm not going to go over every pick. I'm going to just tell everybody, check out Inside the Locker Room, the graphics on their page. That's the best way to check out all the picks most of the time. So,
MJ, you got anything about this week?
One game that kind of picks my ear a little bit, I'm not going to lie, is the Chargers and Chiefs game, because we saw what happened week 1. We saw what happened in Brazil, because we all were thinking it was going to be a close game, but it's going to come down to Patrick Mahomes winning that game. I would like to see this Patrick Mahomes who's backed against the wall. I would like to see this Patrick Mahomes, whereas we haven't seen him in this position before. We haven't seen him being cornered a little bit, because now their percentage of getting to the playoffs started from, 59 to now 31. So now this Patrick Mahomes is in a corner, whereas, oh snap, we have no other choice. We have to win out now. This is like no ifs, ands, or buts. If we lose one more game, we're done. We're mathematically, we're eliminated. You might not be eliminated right then and there, but mathematically speaking, you're eliminated. Another game that you guys brought up that I want to low-key get into was the 2 divisional games, the Bills and the Patriots, and the Ravens and Bengals. The Bengals season, in my personal opinion, is over. No ifs, ands, or buts on that. It's over. You lost last week against the Bills in a banger of a game, but your season's over. You focus on next season, develop, but the Cincinnati Bengals, if they live off of one thing, it's on upsetting the Baltimore Ravens. And like what you all said, honestly, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow needs help. That's all I gotta say about that. He has help, but offensive line help. That's what he needs right now. That's what Joe Burrow needs right now. He needs offensive line help, and he can't keep on getting hurt every season. He just can't. He can't afford that for the rest of his career, because it takes a toll on his body, it takes a toll on his mind. He needs to win, not now, but in upcoming seasons, he needs to win. The Bills and the Patriots. This will determine the rest of Drake May's season. I think this would definitely determine the rest of Drake May's season, because we saw what he did on Sunday night against the Bills. Low scoring affair, but he pulled that defense and him pulled it out. So I would like to see if Drake May will benefit from the bye week, or will we see on Monday morning the Bills beating the Patriots. I like to see that game. I like to see that game.
Look, I pretty much, Ben, you got any closing remarks to say before we close this out?
I mean, guys, the playoffs are almost here. Draft season is also going to creep up on us. I'm sure everybody's going to try to meet up in Pittsburgh. So, guys, check out our latest videos, all uploaded on the channel. Deuce, what do you think is a good view goal for this one? That's a huge week, honestly.
A huge view. Oh, look, 300. We got to get to 300 views.
Let's do it.
Also, look, we're at 274 subscribers right now. We got to round that out and get to 300. Do I believe we can get to that? Yes, because I've seen us jump up 30 subscribers almost in the span of 3 days. So I know that we have people out there watching. Look, and I said this. Wait, I'm going to say this before we close this out. Cowboys, please don't upset me. I need y'all to win out. Don't let the 9, don't let whatever, what does he want to call himself? The 9.
Number 9.
Don't let him come into Dallas.
What is the 9? What is that? I know JJ McCarthy, obviously, but oh my god,
man,
we gotta win.
Look, Ben, we gotta get a Vikings fan on here sometime in the coming weeks so they can just talk.
Yeah.
Vikings, because honestly, I want to hear how the Vikings have, from the Vikings fan perspective, how they've sounded and how they've done all season. But look, I'm gonna say this before we close this out. Please help us reach our goal. I said this at the start of the stream. Inside the Locker Room had a slow start the last 2 months, but we are back and we are going to make sure our content is ramping up. 2 to 3 videos a week. And also, look, make sure you check out our solo content, and also make sure you check out our our regular content in general. 2 to 3 videos are dropping a week, and eventually we will have more content from each of our co-hosts dropping. Also, make sure you stay tuned because we have collabs all December. I don't think there's going to be one stream where we don't have a special guest on. So just get used to us having a bunch of guests on for the month of December and January to go at that. As always, thank you for watching Inside the Locker Room. Thank you for tuning into the stream. And as always, stay safe.